What's up guys, this is Sammy Geek back here with my Slickwraps and my Note 10 Plus. Today we're gonna try a couple of these Slickwraps, but before we do that, I wanna have a conversation with you guys. Why Slickwraps? Why would you wrap your phone versus using a case? That is an important conversation that I wanna have with you guys before we dive deep into this. And the reason is because I wanna tell you guys, number one, we're gonna try Slickwraps, but number two, we're gonna experience this thing together. I've never, ever put a wrap on my phone. So I'll be able to do this. I'll be able to apply it, let you guys know how it goes for the application process. Is it easy? Is it a pain? And then I'm gonna carry this thing for a few days and let you guys know what my thoughts are. So who is a wrap for? A few years ago, I think a lot of people put cases on their phones because it was more popular to protect your phone for resale value, because a lot of people would keep their phone for a longer period of time, I feel like. And eventually you wanna have a beautiful phone to sell because you're gonna get more money for it, right? So fast forward now to the past few years, and you guys are probably seeing this trend as well, but there are huge trade-in values for these phones. I mean, we're talking 600 bucks for a $1,000 phone. It's ridiculous. The trade-in values are just so phenomenal nowadays that people are upgrading after a year and a half, 2 years, and they're having to protect their phone a little bit less, because here's why. When you walk into a Best Buy store or you trade this thing into Samsung, they don't care about scratches on the phone. They don't care if this thing's been dropped in your cup holder 5,000 times. They just don't want to see a cracked screen. So as long as your screen is in good condition, everything's in pretty much decent order, you know, the back glass is not broken or something, you're good. I mean, the thing can be scratched to beat hell, and you're still gonna get a full-on value for the phone. That gets me thinking, and probably a lot of other people thinking, all right, you know, when you get this phone out of the package for the first time and you hold this thing, you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then of course you put a case on it and it makes it thicker. So for me, I use a minimalistic case, so very thin case. I take this thing out of the case and I'm like, oh my God, that would be fantastic to be able to carry it like that. And I'm less worried about scratches now. If you're like me, you put this in the cup holder, you just kind of throw it in your car, you throw it in your cup holder, and it does protect it. But what am I protecting it for? I don't drop my phone. Knock on wood, I don't drop my phone. If you work outside and you're over concrete all the time, or a very, very hard surface, and you could be apt to drop your phone, this video is probably not for you, and a skin is probably not for you. But if you perhaps work in an office or you are comfortable in not dropping your phone, then perhaps a skin is for you. And here's why, because the benefit that I'm seeing to a skin is that you're going to be able to get that naked phone feel. And number two, you can change the color of the device to anything that is beyond your imagination. And number three, you can actually add a texture to the phone. And for me, that is what hits this out of the park. Because as you guys saw in a couple of the images and in my previous video, some of these have some really awesome textures. And I think what's gonna happen is it's gonna give me some of that grip I'm looking for. I can't use a naked phone period because it's just too slick. But if it gives me that grip I'm looking for and a little bit of protection, then that's great. So the protection wise, what I'm looking for is something that sits on a table and is gonna protect the camera lens and protect the back from scratches, because that's mainly where it's gonna sit. If you guys look at the Slickwraps, there's actually a little section that goes over the camera lens. And I think just that little, tiny little 1/2 millimeter, 1/4 millimeter, whatever it might be, is just enough to, I think, keep that lens off the table. So I wanted to talk about that for a while. Now what I'm gonna do is get into an application. I'm gonna apply this, and I'm not gonna bore you guys with the application process because you've probably seen 10 million skins get put on phones before. Not gonna do that, but I'm gonna show you a couple skins. I will put these on, I will let you know my thoughts, and then I will report back to you guys, because remember, this is the very first time I've ever done this. Peace out, guys, and I will be right back. Before I apply these Slickwraps, I just want to go through each color and share my thoughts and comments on each of the sort of the colors and the textures, starting with this wood grain. So this is interesting because if you like wood, giggity, then you might like this color because it actually has a really like a natural wood finish to it. Next up is the this is sort of a tight weave of gray and silver. I'm not sure how to best describe this, but the texture is awesome. This is definitely one of my favorites so far. It has a very kind of a, it's not, I wouldn't describe it as grippy, but maybe you can hear, let me pull that up next to the mic. So you can hear that as my finger kind of zips across it. It makes kind of a zippy noise, and that kind of helps you picture the texture. So nice texture. This one is probably one of my favorite here for texture. These, you can actually feel each little, I guess that'd be an octagon if I could speak today. Octagon. Let's try that again. So this is pretty cool. I like this texture. I'm not a huge fan of the black though. All right, guys, this one is a very slick one, so probably not gonna be my favorite, but you can kind of see the color change as it gets in and out of the light. So it's like a bluish green. What I do like about this one is it has the top protection, sort of, you know, you can see here like a bit of a top protection and bottom protection. Like not all of them do. So if we go back to this guy, you see there's nothing at the top and there's nothing at the bottom. So I'm not sure what I think about that, but I'm going to try to apply one of these that has the top protection and one that does not. So that way you guys can see kind of what they both look like. Carbon fiber, this is actually, if you guys like carbon fiber, I noticed that Slickwraps has a lot of different colors in the carbon fiber. This one has a really cool texture. It almost feels like real carbon fiber. And I'm going to try to get a good focus for you guys and kind of show that. It has a sheen to it. And it actually, like I said, actually feels like real carbon fiber. You literally, if you didn't know, you would think this is real carbon fiber. So the next up, all right, guys, this one is my favorite for sure. Look at this one, the texture. It has a bit of a kind of again like a zippy kind of texture to it, but that is just crazy cool, man. So I'm digging this one. The color, actually the whole thing. I mean, I wish it had the top and bottom protection as well, but overall, definitely gonna probably be my favorite pick, and I'm thinking this is gonna be my second install. So next up, we have what is considered probably like a granite type of rock finish. And this one has a nice texture to it. I also noticed it has the top and the bottom, of course, which is cool. And again, I'm just trying to feel, because, you know, obviously it'd be reversed, so I would be feeling the back of it. So this one has a good texture. And then next up, we have another wood grain. This is sort of a kind of a cherry wood, a little bit darker. And again, it's the same as the previous one that I mentioned here about the lightness. So again, if you like this actually is kind of cool. But going back through these again, I'm gonna say this one's probably my favorite. So I will put this one on last. And then by the time I post my next portion of this video, we will have determined if we're gonna do the greenish, bluish wrap here, which I think is pretty sweet. Otherwise, I will do the kind of this one that has a little bit of bonish texture to it. This is kind of the rock granite look. Talk to you in a bit. All right, guys, this is the moment of truth. I've got the Note 10 Plus here, and this has been wrapped up in the Slickwraps full coverage wrap. And in typical Sammy Geek fashion, I'm gonna cover a few different areas. I'm gonna talk about install, fit, finish, feel, value, and I've got a huge bonus for you guys that I was able to uncover, and I found this extremely interesting, and I was very excited about it. So starting with install, how did this install on the Note 10 Plus? So my feeling is there's a couple different things here. One, you can do this quickly, or number two, you can do it quickly and properly. That's sort of my impression of this. So I would say the install was relatively easy. So actually what I did is I went on the Slickwraps website, I looked up the Note 10 Plus, how to install, and I just basically followed their instructions, which were interestingly precise, because it had you start with the bottom, and what you did is you would take the bottom piece and you would kind of fold it and pull it over, making sure that it's lining up with the little camera holes here. And as you sort of pulled it over and stretched it just a little bit, it did line up perfectly, which I found interesting, because later on when I folded up the top here, the holes pretty much lined up, as you can see. So I thought that was interesting. Take some additional time on the corners. Make sure you heat those up with your blow dryer, and just kind of heat it up a little bit and keep pressing them down and just making sure that everything is sealed nice. That's sort of my pro tip. So that was about it. The corners, just making sure those are down. Make sure you heat the sides up here really well. because when you pull that over, you can see there is a very tight tolerance. So you want to make sure you get that on. But if you line up the back properly, it's interesting because as you fold this over, it really lines itself up nicely. Second, fit. I was really surprised. I mean, it is down to, so you can see if you look very closely here, there is a little tiny leftover, which maybe I didn't press it hard enough over. But then if you look at, let's see if I find, I'm going to show you another good example here. On this corner right here, look at the tolerance on this corner. That is so close, so well cut. The finish, not the finish, the fit is so precise. That's what I noticed. If you look at the buttons as well, the side button, the power button, the volume rocker, they're very precise. So if you take your time on the corners and make sure you're pressing it down in the right place, you can get all 4 corners precisely like I have this one. So the fit is spot on. I mean, look at how nicely it goes around the camera. I mean, that is as precise as you can get. So I'll show you a little bit up close here. All right, finish. The reason I'm talking about finish separately than fit is because I want to talk about the look of this. I definitely was wowed when I got this thing applied. It is like a brand new phone. To me, it's amazing because if you look at their website, they have so many different colors and textures. You can really actually create your own, and you can get so crazy with customizing your phone. And it really, I shared this with a few friends, and their thought was, wow, it looks like a different phone, like a totally different Note 10 Plus. So next up, we have feel. The feel was important to me because texture was important. I'm looking for something that is not going to be very slippery in the hands, which ironically they're called Slickwraps. But that's not why they're called Slickwraps. They're called Slickwraps probably because they're cool. So depending on which skin you have, you're gonna have a slightly different texture. And this particular one has a slight bit of texture. When I very first felt it, I thought it had more texture. It is still a little bit slick in the hand. So regarding the feel, it is more slippery than I expected. So I may do some research and see the other Slickwraps that I have. Going from a case to this, it's an amazing feel to feel this thing caseless, but my hand is so used to having that little extra case on, it almost felt kind of weird pressing the buttons because the buttons, you know, I couldn't feel the buttons as much. So when I press on the buttons, I noticed I was maybe having to press harder or try to find them, kind of hunt them down with my hands. But it slides in the pocket much easier, and it just feels super thin. So that is a huge bonus for the feel. Value, definitely I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10 as well, 5 stars. I think the value is great. Oftentimes they do run promotions on their website. I feel like if you pick a color you like and you get this thing applied, you will absolutely love it. I'm enthusiastically in love with these things right now, and I can't wait to try other colors. I'm gonna feel so guilty peeling this one off because I've applied it so nicely. Last up is bonus. This one is crazy, guys. If you guys watch this whole video, this one is gonna be the $10 million kicker. So remember what I mentioned earlier was that I like the thought of having a caseless phone. I like the ability to slip in and out of the pocket easier. I like the thinness of it. I like the factory feel of what it is supposed to feel like dimensionally. However, I don't like the slickness. And when you look at a case, I do gotta apologize, this case is disgustingly dirty. But when you look at a case, I go with a super thin minimalistic case. This case is much thinner than most thin cases, as they call them thin when you're on online. So this is ultra thin. I forget what the millimeters are. I would have to research it again, but it's super thin. But what it does is it adds like that rubbery, almost tacky kind of texture that you do not get from, you know, for example, this isn't going to give you that tacky, sort of that tacky texture. So, but this case does. But here's the $10 million kicker. So I was screwing around with this a little bit, and it is a little bit tighter to get in. So I've got the bottom in, and I'm kind of folding it up over so it doesn't mess with my beautiful install. And I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna kind of pull it up over, make sure my corners are on perfect, and check it out. Look at that. Is that just awesome or what? So I don't know if you guys can tell, but it looks beautiful in person. You can't see the dirty case that I have on it, the smudgy fingerprints, and it really gives the phone like this really cool, unique look, and also protection galore. So I feel like I can drop it a little bit with this case. I can kind of throw it around a little bit and not feel guilty, but also get this super awesome new look to my Note 10 Plus. So I'm really excited about that. I would consider this a huge bonus. I was not expecting to be able to put my case on. I know these are super thin. I know the wraps are ultra thin. I just never really thought about it. I thought I'm gonna put a wrap on and I'm just gonna rock the thing as is. But if you get a really nice, super thin, clear case, you can see what it does to the phone. And that to me is game changing. So now I have two options. One, I can rock this thing with case on a day-to-day basis. But let's say I'm going out and I have my skinny jeans on. I'm joking, but let's just say I have my skinny jeans on and tighter pockets or something, and I want to go caseless. Well, I can just pull the case right off this guy, and of course I want to do it gently so I don't screw up my awesome job putting this on. But now, boom, now I'm caseless, and I am rocking the phone in my pocket, and it's looking sweet. And so now I've got options. All right, guys, to wrap this thing up, no pun intended, I do probably give this, I would say I'd rate this a 9.5 out of 10 for sure. And the reason I say 9.5 is that's because that's for this particular skin only. Once I try a few more skins and a few more textures, a few more grips, I may give it a 10, but it is ranked very high on my list. And with the rubber case that I have installed, I absolutely give it a 10 out of 10. So there's no doubt in my mind that moving forward from now on, I'm going to not really worry so much about the color of the phone that I purchase. I'm going to be applying skins and using the thin rubber cases during the week. And then, should I go out on the weekend and I want to go out fancy with my phone, I'll remove the case and be rocking the skin. So now I've got options, like I said. If you guys have any questions, please do let me know. If you guys like this video, please thumbs up. If you guys love this video, please do consider subscribing. It means the world to me. Then I jokingly say all the time that I feel like I'm not talking to myself, but love you guys for taking the time to comment, and I do try and respond to every single comment. So if you guys have any questions, again, like I said, hit me up below, and you guys have an awesome week, and I will be back with another video of another application for the Slickwraps, and we'll see what some other colors look like and things like that. So peace out, guys. Have an awesome week. Talk to you soon.